Hi there, are you somebody who finds it difficult to say no? Maybe you're the kind of person who's a people pleaser, or you don't want to hurt others' feelings. You feel like it might upset someone or it might make them angry with you. Or perhaps you're the kind of person who knows a lot of people depend on you and you don't want to disappoint anyone. Well, if so, friend, I've got something you can try in today's video. Hi there, my name is Morgan Risden and I'm the creator of Center Studio, where I teach people skills to feel more comfortable more often. Now, if this is your first time to my channel, friend, welcome. I'm very glad to have you here. And I hope if you enjoyed today's video that you'll hit the subscribe button, also the notification bell, which lets you know anytime I make a video that's similar to this one. Now, in today's video, I wanted to talk about the difficulty that some students have saying no. Now, this can come in all shapes, sizes, forms when we're talking about the relationships that we have with people, be it close family or friends or even colleagues. And I just want you to think about what it means to tell people no. In a lot of cases, I feel that our yeses are usually very habitual. And what I mean by that is that we're used to saying yes. Oh, can you do that? Yeah, sure. Oh, can you do this? Yes, sure. And sometimes, friends, when we say yes in this sort of habitual way, it's not always helpful for us. It's not always what's best for us. And what I mean by that is that, let's say I ask my mom, hey, can you pick up my kids after school? And she says, oh yeah, I can. But now my mom is rushing around trying to finish up her errands, get her things ready because she's now on a new clock, having to pick up my kids because I asked her to. Now, while that's very helpful for me as her daughter, if I've made that request of her, it doesn't always lend itself to my mom, right? It might not always be what's best for my mother. And I think about when we're answering people that we start to filter things through, is this good for me? Is this something that I have the bandwidth to do, that I have the energy and the time to do? And sometimes, friends, that then looks like, no, not really. No, not really. You can even ask yourself sometimes, do I want this? Is this something that I would like? And if the answer is no, I'm going to suggest that you stop saying yes to things that really don't fall in alignment with what you want. Oftentimes I'll hear students talking about, well, I feel like I need to, or I don't want to upset people, or I want to make people happy. And that's fine. However, we need to be able to also take care of ourselves. I often will draw the analogy of when you're on a plane and they'll tell you during the safety call at the beginning, they'll say, yeah, you need to make sure to put your safety mask on for the air before you help others around you. And that makes a lot of sense if your plane is going down, because if you're not breathing air, you can't possibly help those around you at all. And the same thing is true, friend, if you're saying yes to people, but at your expense. You're no longer able to show up at your best. You're no longer comfortable. You don't feel good. Maybe you feel stressed and anxious about the things that you've promised others or that you've agreed to that you didn't really want to do. And it really allows us, when we start practicing this idea of saying no, to put boundaries in place, right? We're talking about making sure that we take care of ourselves in a way that respects what we want, be it our mind, our heart, our body. And we're giving other people boundaries of how to treat us, what to ask for, and we're making sure that we're not lending ourselves to anybody in hopes that they take just as good a care of us as we would. One of the ways that I practice this with my folks, personally speaking, is I'll preface things with, hey, is it possible, and do you have time for, would it not be a burden to ... So as the person making a request of somebody, I'm aware and conscious of how I ask. And then sometimes if I can tell, especially with my folks who are very lovely and very sweet and want to give, I'll notice hesitation, or I'll notice some, oh, well, if you took the car, John, then Kathy could do that. There's some difficulty, and I'll interrupt and say, but listen, if it's not easy, let's not do it. And so again, as the person requesting that, I will interject and say, no, if it's too much of a hassle, let's not bother. I can ask somebody else. I can rearrange my schedule. I don't want to put you guys out. Now, this is also assuming that everybody who you're interacting with is just as conscious and aware. And newsflash, folks, I don't know if you noticed this, but I don't think a lot of our population is like that. Right? People make requests and make asks, but they don't always recognize when somebody is taking a moment to decide about it, if it's inconvenient or if they're struggling to say yes or no. And so That's then on you to do. That's for you to take on the burden of, they've asked me something, but I'm not obligated. I don't owe anybody anything. They're asking something of me, which is then me giving. And really, if you go down the rabbit hole, that's when resentment builds up. We can get angry. We can get upset with people, be it, loved ones or colleagues or friends, because we're not practicing boundary making. And for our friends, they're like, well, you said yes, but I asked you and you said it was okay. And then we're like, well, yeah, but I was so busy and you knew I was busy. Yeah, but it's our fault when we say yes, right? It's our fault when we don't practice this ability that we have to say no for things that are not really good for us. So I'm going to suggest that one of the ways that you can practice this is really by just practicing saying no. So for example, let's say that you're a people pleaser and you tend to always say yes. Instead, give yourself a week or a month or what have you of just saying, I'm always going to say no. I'm going to say no, and then I'll change my mind if it turns into a yes. But at least I build in that sort of buffer where I can reflect and think about, do I actually have time? Is this something that's possible for me? And would I like to do this? And then you can always go back to the person and say yes, right? So initially we might say, no, I can't do that. Actually, you know what? I can't. I'll ask my husband to make dinner that night. I can easily drop you off. What time's your appointment? So that you get into the habit, maybe instead of always saying yes, you get into the habit of saying no. Let me take a moment to think about if that's good for me. Again, nobody else is going to be making sure that we're comfortable, that we feel good, that things are happening for us in a way that's easy. It's up to us really to filter things through this lens of self-awareness and self-consciousness where we are saying, hey, do I have time for this? Is this something I need or want? And if the answer is no, and it's going to upset somebody, that's not your fault, right? So oftentimes students will say, well, I'm worried about ... First of all, you don't know because that's future talk, right? Worry and anxiety is usually thoughts that are happening in the future. And the second thing is that we cannot be responsible for other people's feelings, right? I can only take care of my reactions, my responses, and be responsible for me. How somebody interprets that, how somebody takes some answer of mine is not my fault. It's not my responsibility. For some of you, this might be a profound revelation, and for others, you might really struggle with this. But take baby steps. It doesn't have to be overnight that you start saying no to everybody, but maybe really start looking at in your everyday life, what are some of the things that you've initially agreed to that no longer serve you, don't help you, you don't want to do, and practice saying no. You know what? I said I would pick your kids up every single day after school, but I actually can't do that, friend. It's been hard on me. I'm getting, to home too late and I've got dinner I've got to make and homework's not getting done. I really wanted to help, but I can't. And I'm going to suggest that by doing this and practicing this, you're going to end up finding yourself much more comfortable at the end of your days and weeks. And ultimately, I think you're going to have stronger relationships because when you do things for others, when you say yes, it's going to come from a place of really genuinely wanting to help out and not feeling like you're extending yourself beyond your limits. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and of course, if you did, friend, I would love if you would hit the subscribe button. You can also always share and like my videos. When you do things like that, it really helps me a lot, and I appreciate it. All right, until next time, friends, take care. Ciao.